Life, Legacy, and Leadership, the Brook Hill Podcast. Today, my guest is none other than the legend, the Hackney legend. Yep. Everybody will know him as Dawson Ramsey. Yep. So if we can get the crowd to go crazy for Dawson, nice. Yep. So Dawson, you are officially a Legacy Counselor.
I am a Legacy. First year
Legacy.
It's crazy.
Let's go. And for anybody who may not know, that means he has been 4 years on all summer staff.
Yep.
It's one of the new things we've been doing. We've been backlogging the old school legacies to make sure they get that recognition. So, so Dawson Ramsey, we're gonna get into that. Just graduated from Ouachita.
Yes, I did.
Just graduated from Ouachita. Want to get into all that kind of stuff, how you got here. Right. But before we do, we got to play a game. Okay. Have you listened to the podcast enough to know that we play a game?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to play a game, and the game is in 3 categories, all right? It is Brook Hill songs, Brook Hill cabins, and Brook Hill activities.
Okay.
All right, so activities, songs, and it can be any song, any activity, any cabin, old and new, and you don't have to stay in one category.
I can go back and forth?
Back and forth all day long.
All right.
Yeah, so you have all 3 of those to name. You're going to have 30 seconds to name as many of those 3, and we're going to see if you get up into the leaderboard, the big 3. That's what I call them. We're going to throw that up there in a second. All right, are you ready over there with the timer? You may begin.
Hackneys, Mustangs, Walkers, Broncos, Apples, Morgans, Mavericks, Clydesdales, Pacers, Bamboo Song, basketball, tennis, pickleball, hodgepodge sport, boy sports, girl sports, go-karts, archery, riflery, water rides, big lake, small lake, fun swim, orange juice, Yoda, Mrs. Shady, Bumblebee Song, Shark Song, gymnastics.
Okay. What did you get to unofficially there? Unofficially, was that like 20? It was about 20.
20?
Okay. Yes, you were on a roll there. We'll go back and actually do it for the deal. We can actually do it at the end of the show. Show us the leaderboard.
Was that good?
If it was unofficially 20, it is not quite.
Not quite?
Not quite. Can you throw up that leaderboard? It's all good. It's all good. We can go back with that even at the end also. We can come back to that. So the leader, I think it's like 25 to crack into that top 3.
All right.
I think 30, 28, and 25 or 26. That's
30?
somewhere.
That sounds crazy.
Anna Hampson.
Really? That's crazy.
Anna Waller, sorry.
Yeah. Anna Waller. Get it right.
Well, so she pointed out a massive advantage. She was camp mom.
That's true.
She knows every activity, every cabin. Yep. She on those 2 alone, she was able to just wipe the board out. And she just went bam, 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 bam,
that's
bam,
overpowered
bam.
for sure.
Then when she got done, she goes, well, I was camp mom. I know all those. And I was like, whoa. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the major advantage. All right. So, Dawson, how'd you get here? How'd you get to Brook Hill?
So I came here in the 3rd grade, and I pretty much came because my aunt worked here. We worked with her, actually. She came as a camper, was a counselor, too.
Can we give a shout-out? Aunt Jill?
Yeah, Aunt Jill.
Aunt Jay?
Aunt Jay, if you're here somewhere listening. What's up?
She'll listen.
She'll listen, probably.
You're guaranteed 2 listeners.
Yeah,
Leanne and Jill. I wouldn't even guarantee Jay's listening.
I wouldn't either. There's no telling with him. But,
that's right.
Yeah, she was a counselor here. My other aunts and uncles all came here as campers too. So just kind of came when it was time and loved it, obviously. So.
All right. So and Leanne didn't come to camp. So I know she was waiting. My kids will be at camp.
Yeah,
you know?
She did not come to camp at all. No.
I love that. Can you remember your first counselor? Do you remember your first cabin and counselor?
I was at Hackney actually.
Okay.
With Brandon Perry.
BP. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Kate, I always like to go, how far, how many do you know? Do you know all your cabins? So 3rd grade, was that 3rd grade?
3rd grade, yes.
So you went all 7 years?
Yeah, all 7 years. And then I don't know the order, but I had Stewart twice.
Okay, Walkers.
A Mustang with Connor Odom.
Yeah.
I was a Bronco with Johnny Rich. I was an Apple with a guy named Jason, I think.
Okay.
He had red hair.
Hey, at least you probably Jason Johnson, maybe.
I think so,
okay,
kind of
all right.
Dude.
Yeah.
And then I think I was a Morgan.
Okay.
Last year.
It wasn't with Tyler, was it?
It was not with Tyler.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Morgan with someone to be named later. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
That's pretty good right there.
I'm impressed. That's a long time ago. So.
That's pretty good. So you liked camp?
Loved it for sure.
Okay. What did you love about it as a kid? Can you remember what you loved about it? What was, I don't know, you know, your mom didn't force you to be here all 7
No,
years.
no. Early on, I just thought it was fun. Obviously, all the
Okay.
activities.
Yep.
Go-karts, fun swim, all that stuff.
Favorite activity? What were you?
As a camper, I love tennis, actually.
Okay.
Tennis, yeah. So much fun.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah, but then as I got older at camp, like JCT years, just the connection with the counselors. Because like even like now, Stuart Barrow came to talk at my college with my social club,
Okay.
and he remembered I went to camp with a guy named Gary Stormont, and he never JC didn't even graduate camp. He came for like 3 years, and Stuart still remembered his name, and talked to him at school with me when he came to talk to us. So super cool how intentional everybody is, and how like the connection's real here. So it really spoke to me. Yeah.
You really connected with Stuart. I like almost you're like Stuart Jr. to me.
Yeah.
You know, you and Stuart had the same vibe. You're both real athletic. You're chill guys, which I love because y'all hit a different genre of guys. Did you identify with Stuart on that?
Oh, for sure. We hit it off very quickly, obviously. We have a lot in common. Love basketball, love sports, so we got along very well, very quickly. So
I think it's easy to sleep on guys like you and Stuart. And you go,
Yeah.
oh, they're quiet. Maybe they're not Brook Hill guys. Like for some reason that Brook Hill has to be wild and crazy.
yeah,
You don't. You just have to be fun.
yeah,
And fun can be defined in all kinds of ways.
yeah, for sure.
And so, you know, I loved seeing Stuart. And obviously, you do have to come out of your shell. You do have to talk to kids,
Yeah.
right? And I loved seeing Stuart's maturing in that. And obviously, we got to see that for a long time. And
Yeah,
he
very long
just,
time.
you know, started killing it, you know. And that's what you've done over time. And so, you know, that's what I loved about you. So, all right, coming on staff, it was your idea to be a JC?
Yeah, it was my idea to be JC. Didn't really know what to expect. I knew it was gonna be hard work, but I was okay with that. I like getting sweaty, it was fun work with my best friends. So loved it. Obviously, kept coming back for more weeks, and then was hooked after my first week. So wanted to keep coming back.
I always say this: high character people don't mind work.
Yeah, for sure.
And to me, our JC program is perfect because it reveals.
Yeah, very very quickly too. Like Monday or Tuesday, you know whether you want to do it or not, for sure.
Right. And I'm not saying that everybody has to like it,
No,
you know.
it's not for everybody. For sure.
But we can tell who's got a chance to really step it up if
Yeah.
they're willing to work, because you
Mhm.
got to be willing to work. And
Have
I
to.
think that's a separator.
Have to.
And so you were a 3-year JC,
Yeah, I was.
and then you decided I want to write in for all summer staff.
Yeah, I applied for a cabin actually after my third year as a JC, and got the boat driver, something that I didn't even know was an option. So never touched a boat, never driven a boat. Just kind of I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So
And you went and got your boating license.
we got a week before training actually.
Yep.
Just did it on my couch after school on my computer. Just grinded for like a week, got it done. Came to camp, learned to drive a boat at camp during staff training for the first time.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved them. That was so easy, obviously. Such a very chill job, very my personality.
Yeah,
It's on the
hanging
boat.
out with the JCTs,
Yeah.
that was very. We thought the maturity that you have, the character you
Yeah.
have, you're gonna be
Yeah.
you're gonna be great at that. But then after that first summer, you became the Hackney Counselor.
I did. I applied for cabin because I was in a cabin like 2 weeks that summer for filling in for sick counselors and stuff like that. But I love being in a cabin. I don't know what it was, but it was so much more fun to me. Like being able to connect with campers outside of more than just an hour a day. You know, forming a real connection with these guys. I love doing it. I still talk to a bunch of my campers from back then and even now. So I just loved connect with my boys, with my Hackneys. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And then now you've been the Hackney Senior Counselor for 3
years,
summers. All right.
3 summers.
What has that been like? How much have you grown being a senior counselor?
I've grown so much. Obviously, like you said, I'm a very quiet guy, very introverted. So I've had to break out of my shell quite a bit, having to talk a lot more, especially this summer too. Like my third year, being on leadership, being head of hill, having to step up and like lead not only my guys but like the staff as well. So I've grown a lot in that aspect of just being more vocal, being more confident in that. So. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's break that down just a little bit. So if we got guys listening here and they're going, man, I like Dawson. He's chill. I'm chill. You know, how would you encourage them? You know, because that's got to be intimidating, Dawson, for you. You know, almost as intimidating for someone who talks too much to be quiet.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
to be like, all right, bro, y'all gotta talk less. You know, so what has, you know, to be able to speak up in front of a crowd? You know, because for some people that's like worse than
Yeah, it's
anything.
scary for sure.
Okay.
Scary for sure.
So for you to speak in front of a crowd, for you to call somebody out. Because I would think maybe as a more introverted guy to call people out, you know, like what are some things that you did? You know, like, I don't know. Just walk through that. How would you help a guy who's like, because I think it's easy to make the excuse, I'm just quiet.
For sure.
I'm just chill. And I don't think God wants us to not say, because I think to communicate faith, you got to talk.
You do. Yeah, you definitely do.
Right? And
Yeah.
so even if some people are more called for 20,000 people and some people are more called to 20 people, you still got to talk to those 20 people.
Yeah.
So give us some advice here. Talk to some of these guys.
For me, you just have to do it. Like for me, going in staff, you have guys like Andrew Spigner and Gabe Kerr, who are all super outgoing guys. But I'll look for guys like Ben Brown, who's just like me as well. We're both super introverted, very quiet. So watching him do it, and then learning that you have to do it yourself too, because when you do it, you know it's not that hard. I mean, it's uncomfortable, but it's so easy. And having to being uncomfortable is good, because comfort's not good. You're not growing if you're not uncomfortable. So you just have to remember that the uncomfort and the unnaturalness is good. It's a good feeling. When you're growing, you're getting better. So you just have to do it.
That's so good. I think though people, they get a wall in front of them.
Yeah.
And that wall is that uncomfortable. And I think it's easier to quit.
It is. A lot easier to quit.
And, you know, you're a hardworking guy. You're a faithful guy, Dawson. But, okay, here, if you're going to keep going here at Brook Hill, at some point, that faithful, hardworking, you know, and not that you couldn't have been in support, you know, I mean, you could have driven the boat even more, but you're like, no, I feel called to be in the cabin.
Yeah.
And whatever God calls us to is going to be uncomfortable.
Oh, for sure.
In some levels.
Yeah, it definitely is.
There's a lot of things about running a cabin you love, and it's
Yeah.
totally comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And
Like giving devos. I hated doing that at first.
Okay.
Hated doing devos. Telling stories was kind of tough at first too. Like at night in the cabin was tough. Like giving my talks especially too. But it gets better with practice for sure. So the more you do it, the better you are. The more comfortable you feel.
And one of the things I think about you, Dawson, you know, people who talk a lot, you have to kind of find what they're really saying in there. And it's not always great. And you're like, oh, actually, that was good after 30 minutes listening to you.
A lot of fluff.
There's a lot of fluff. But for guys like you and Stu and, you know, some of the ones like that, everything you say is such gold. And I think that is such the attack to keep men quiet, especially chill guys, is to just scare them off, right?
Yep.
When you have something to say, and that's what I know about you. You're a quality guy, and you've got stuff to say. And so we got to get more guys to do that.
We do, for sure.
Which kind of goes to our next point. You know, you helped on the Bro Zoom this year, and just for people listening, you know, we do guys that come to Turkey Day, and then you know, just kind of some of our basically junior counselor age guys. We do a Bro Zoom, which just means we talk about manhood with these guys, and they sign up for it, and they get on, and it's just a certain amount of guys that sign up, and we just talk about manhood, and you know, how has that helped you? You know, I know you're being a mentor on it. How has it helped you as a man? What are some of the things we talked about? And, you know, how do we help some of these guys? You know, because the only way for a boy to become a man is to learn from another man. You're not going to naturally get there.
Yeah.
You know, and I love moms. Moms are great, and moms are so important. But mom is a mom, and she's not going to, you know, be able to show the way or point the way. So, you know, we're doing that. What are some things that you see in guys, and maybe how has the Bro Zoom helped you?
The Bro Zoom was amazing. Just being able to hear the guys younger than me, because obviously I'm not like in touch with high school anymore because I've been out there for 5 years now. But hear stuff they're going through. It's the same thing the same stuff that I went through in high school, and the same stuff that's been going on for years now. Just how bad the culture is now from men on guys. All guys want to do now is party and drink and do all those things that just are not right, obviously. It's just kind of taking over the world, and they're getting younger and younger. Porn culture, too, all that stuff is just kind of thrown out there, and it's just going crazy, blowing up like it shouldn't be. But
And so that's been great as we've been challenging these guys. Don't let addictions run your life.
Yeah.
You know, don't let, don't let laziness define, I'm just a guy who doesn't care.
Yeah.
And it's easier to not care. And we've been challenging these guys. God has a purpose for you. And so if there's some Hackneys listening, if there's some guys, listening, we want to always challenge these guys in these bro Zooms that God has manhood in you, but you've got to get it may be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To push into those next levels.
It's going to be, for sure.
It's absolutely going to be uncomfortable. And so what are some things that you're seeing, with our guys, in the conversations we had? I was trying to think, obviously, friends, one of the things I think that we talked about a lot with the guys in the Bro Zoom was friends.
Yeah.
How do I get great friends? How do I step up in my friend group? And you had a great group of guys in college.
I did.
And what was your high school group like?
They're all good guys too. They all went on to be like they all went to different colleges than I did, but they're all good guys. They're all guys from my youth group in high school too. So we went to church for 6 years together. Always grew together. Went on mission trips, church trips. All went together. And we went through a lot together. So, but I think having good friends is so important. Because life is easier when you're not alone. When you're going through some hard times, it's so much easier when you're able to talk about it with somebody and just help them get through that thing, or help them help you get through that thing. It's so much easier when you're with guys that are after the same thing you are, go in the same direction, have the same morals, are constantly wanting to push you in the right direction and grow as men. It's so much easier that way.
I think it's uncomfortable finding good friends, almost like you're talking about. It's uncomfortable sometimes to step up and say things. I think it's uncomfortable to find good friends. But I think it's also a cop-out and an excuse to say, I can't find them.
Yeah.
I think, well, this is just the group I have. And at the same time, I think it's important that we're around other people that we can influence.
Yeah.
I think there's two groups of people, at least for me personally. Tell me what you think. But, for me, I have my friends that, we're sharpening each other, right?
Yeah.
They're my inner circle. Then I have a lot of guys that I'm around that I'm trying to influence and just, allow my life and my walk with Christ to influence them. So I think it's important, that we don't have just this echo chamber, right?
Yeah.
Where we're around people that think the same, but obviously our inner circle's got to be the people we hang around the most. Is that kind of the approach that you've had to it?
Yeah, for sure. My inner circle, there's actually guys from camp like Callan Smith, Jackson Delmer, Tucker, David Esther. We talk all the time. We've gone on trips together. And they're kind of like my core guys outside of camp. But then like at school, in my social club, it's a fraternity. It's a small, Christian Baptist. Washita. It's a Washita thing. But there are guys that are younger than me. There's probably 50 guys in that club. So we're always constantly, I'll let a life group. So doing that way is super helpful, obviously. And then even ways to like intramurals and playing basketball for pickup and stuff like that. Those are great ways to connect with people and just getting to know them so they'll open up to you and trust you enough to talk about stuff. It's hard to talk about stuff when you don't know somebody.
That's right.
So you have to get to know them first. Basketball, talking out, hanging out, eating lunch, eating dinner. Yeah, it's definitely the move is having two separate groups that you can grow with these people that are your best friends, and then grow as well, and then also help influence and help them grow together.
I think it's so important, and but that inner circle, fighting to find that, and guys that you named, Callan, who are some of the guys that you had named?
Tucker, Jackson, David,
Callan, Dave, all those guys. They're high character guys.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe when you were younger, junior high school, you might not have been drawn to those type of guys.
No, definitely not.
And I think it's important that we don't pick superficially.
Yeah.
Hey, we both like basketball, so let's be best friends. Or how about let's both be high character, and if we happen to have some of the same interests, and I think that as you grow up as a man, you're learning to find, and now, hey, we like basketball, so we might be a group of guys I hang around and maybe kind of help influence, but that might not be my inner circle.
Yeah.
you know, but it's so important to have that inner circle of guys.
Yeah.
I like what you said. Y'all go skiing, you know. I
Yeah.
love seeing some of y'all's trips on Instagram. And
Yeah, it's so much fun.
But and it's not just that y'all went skiing together, it's the meals.
Yeah.
And the late night talks.
Yeah.
And I always say with my friends, we solve all the world's problems and tell no one.
We do.
You know?
We do.
Right? Do y'all do that?
Yeah, we went on a trip we've been to Dallas 2 years in a row now. Went to stay with Jackson at the Bucks house around New Year's, past 2 years in a row. And we've gone there hanging out, shot some guns, watched the movie, hanging out. We just talked for hours on those trips, eating some good food. That's all we do. We just connect. We don't talk all the time because we're all in different cities now. But yeah, just going there, being able just to talk about life, about stupid stuff, just joke around, mess around. It's so much fun. It makes life a lot more fun anyway. And it's always be able to know that they're always there for me. Always be able to know that that they'll have my back always. It makes life so much easier. So you're not alone.
Isolation, I think, it gets anybody, but especially guys.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get isolated.
Mm.
You know, it's easy to go to work, go home, go to school, go home, and then you're just on your phone or you're just playing video games.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to get isolated, and I think that's dangerous for men.
Yeah, and when you get stuck there, it's especially like now in today's society, when you get in that mindset, it's not okay to talk about stuff like that. For men, you can't be vulnerable with anybody because it's seen as weak. That's just not true at all. We talked about it a lot, being that tender warrior. You have to be able to have that tender side, be able to talk about stuff like that, be vulnerable, because that's the only way to grow, is to be vulnerable. So if you're not vulnerable, you're not gonna be able to. You'll just be stagnant in anything. So
Well, secrets, we don't keep secrets, they keep us.
yeah,
And when you're unable to say, hey, man, here's what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Hey, man, here's what I'm going through, you know, and which is probably one of the major things about therapy that's so helpful, right, is
Yeah.
that you're talking to somebody, that you're being honest, you know, which totally should do if, you know, get counseling, do that, you know, and also having friends at the same time. It's so important to have these people you can open up to.
Yeah.
That you can connect with and share, and that's what you found. And you know, sometimes you got to stay patient till you find them.
Yeah, it takes time for sure.
But you also got to search in the right places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, church is a great place to find them.
It is.
College groups, like what are some of the groups y'all have at Ouachita that you know?
We do life groups. Like freshman year, we had life groups for any freshman. So that's where I met like Baker Kendrick and guys like that. Some guys that didn't go to camp, but all great guys who ended up leading their own life groups. Intramural is a good way to do it too. Just playing pickup, or it's like just in the caf, walk up to somebody, talk to them, kind of feel it out. You have to talk, obviously. Something I struggle with too. But if you're not talking to people, you're not gonna be able to meet somebody. You never know how cool you are, or how much you'll miss out on if you don't try to have a conversation with somebody. So
You got to get out there.
have to do it.
You got to put yourself out there, and then you got to put yourself in the right places. Now, life groups,
Yeah.
was that mandatory at Ouachita, or
No, it wasn't.
okay, good. So you put yourself in that group.
Yeah.
That's great, and you put it in y'all social club.
Yeah.
That you had. Brook Hill is another place. I mean, you could have been a camper and never been a JC.
Yeah.
And then you would have missed out on a group of guys.
For sure.
You could have been a JC and never all summer.
Yeah.
But, you know, to me, if you have an opportunity to be a part of a great group, do it.
Yeah. For sure.
Do it.
Yeah.
If you're going to put yourself around great people, there's nothing better than that, especially at a young age, 16, 17. I mean, it's great at 8, 9, at 10. But you know, in college, because you are who you hang around. You're the average. I love this. You're the average of the top 5 people you hang around. I don't know who came up with that, but it's true.
It's good. It's good.
It's true.
Very true.
And so I love that you put yourself around those groups. But I see people who say, I can't find anybody, and they're not putting themselves around anybody. You know, and I'm not trying to make light of someone's difficult situation of finding friends.
Yeah.
But it's important that we look in the right places.
Yeah.
You know, for them for sure. You said you led a life group.
Yeah.
So talk me through that, because here you are, more of an introvert guy.
Yeah.
Did you get asked? Did you ask? How'd that work?
So I got asked to, actually,
Okay.
by our chaplain at our club. Asked me and one other guy and we just led a life group of 7 or 8 guys at a time. We'd meet once a week. We have a little plan we'd go through the Word, read the Bible, ask some questions, talk about it. It was very, very beneficial. Helped me grow a lot, obviously. Helped me get more confident for camp, like talking about stuff like that. Leading people. Because if I didn't do that, because that was before I came to camp, like on our summer. So it made it so much easier to be able to give those talks and give that devo during camp, during the week. It helps so much.
I love that. It's so important. I think what people need to recognize with your life is two things. Is you put yourself in uncomfortable situations that may have been outside your comfort zone. And the second thing was you put yourself in opportunities to grow. Because to be on all summer staff, that was an opportunity to grow. To be in the life group, that was an opportunity to grow. So you did it during the summer and you did it during the year.
Yeah.
And I would encourage every man, every boy listening to this, put yourself in opportunities to grow. It is so much easier to do nothing. And I saw this the other day. I threw it up on my story. I think, in fact, let me look and see if it's still on my story right here. Let's see if I can. Nope, story is empty. Awesome. But I put it up there, and it was like, I think it had something to do, it said, like, your character is like your muscles. If you don't work them out, they'll atrophy.
Yeah.
And it just talked about how you've got to put yourself in, it's going in the weight room is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Lifting weights is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But your life has to have the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're only going to, hey, it's comfortable for me to go back to my dorm room and play video games. It's comfortable for me after school to go home and just veg out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's comfortable. But are you growing?
Yeah.
And where are you going to be in 10 years versus Dawson Ramsey after 10 years of doing this?
Yeah.
So that's so good. Another thing I heard was, if you want to heal, you help others heal.
Yeah.
So I think running a cabin and then you running that life group, that had to even help you in your own life.
Oh, for sure. Because I know they're younger than you, but just talking about their lives, they could say something to you that could hit with you too. You just never know where it'll come from. It could be from you. Could be from them. It could be from a different counselor or camper not in your cabin at all. You never know where it's going to come from, but it's just very helpful to talk about things with anybody. Doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter who they are, what they're like. It's just helpful in every aspect of it. Very
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of healing, Dawson, people may not know that during staff training we do a guys' night, right?
We do.
So we so we have guys' night with the staff. And I think we had 3 or 4 teams, and I was on the admin team. And last year, admin lost. We won't talk about Tucker's character failure of throwing a game that allowed admin to lose their first guys' night. Because admin typically stack the deck because we're in charge, to winning. But this year, we had a comeback where you had a really bad partner in Spike ball.
Yeah.
Was that Ethan Ross?
Ethan Ross.
Yeah,
yes.
So that was tough for you because he was you had to carry him. Your back was hurting already from carrying
I'm still
Ethan.
kind of sore, actually.
You're still sore from
2
carrying.
months later.
And because of that, Jason Ross, who is Spike Ball challenged, beat you. And so it forced an overtime.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And it was knockout was our overtime.
Yes, it was.
And it was admin against your team. And it came down to you, me, Tucker, and Jason Ross. But me, Tucker, and Jason were all on the same team against you.
And I was alone.
You were alone.
4-on-1. 3-on-1.
Somehow, Jason and Tucker got each other out. Oh, I was still will never understand.
I don't know how it happened.
And they were pouting and they were mad at each other. It was really funny.
Yeah,
Not
I
really.
think somebody missed a shot and kind of gave up and gave me the ball.
Yeah, they gave you the ball. I was like, what's going on?
I made the shot, obviously.
Yeah.
And I guess they both got out.
So then it's down to me and you.
Down to me and you.
You're in
One
front,
on one.
and I'm in front.
Yeah.
And I hit a couple shots. You missed a couple, and so I get behind you
Yeah, I
and
think
had
I
a
won the
fadeaway.
Yeah, I won the misses pretty bad. It goes all across the pavilion. Real tough.
And your ball is dropping in, and my fadeaway
it was so
free throw.
close. So
It was
close.
so close.
Heartbreaking.
That
Heartbreaking.
that was heartbreaking. So I just want people at home to know the fun that we have on staff.
So much fun.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. But it's just the whole point of the night was men hanging out with men and having a good time, jabbing each other a little bit. But you got to have that.
Gotta have guy nights. We say every Wednesday night, that guys night. You have to have bro nights with your guys at home. Have to, whether it's watching football, hanging out, eating pizza, eating wings, or playing football, playing sports, or even just playing like games, like card games, board games, whatever it is.
Y'all do a ton of Smash.
Yeah, ton of Smash.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't have to be sports. It could be anything.
Watching movies.
Don't make the excuse and say I'm not a sporty guy.
No,
It's a cop out.
you have guys like Aiden Ross and Jackson Delman who aren't sporty at all, but then when they're the best men I know, obviously. So yeah, then it can be anything.
It's easier to make excuses of why you're not than it is to accept responsibility of what you have to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it comes down to. I think manhood is about taking responsibility.
Yeah.
It's about saying, it's not about excuses. Well, this is why I can't, this is why I can't, this is why I can't, this is why I can't. And you can have excuses or results. I heard this long-time guy named Ashley Ellison. He said, you can have excuses or results, but you can never have both.
Yeah.
And, you got to take responsibility for that. And so, I would encourage all our guys that are listening, man, and I hope every camper guy listens to this, is to step up, find a group of guys that challenge you to be more than you think you can, because there is always so much potential. And I think, Dawson, you, Stuart, myself, all of us, a lot of people look at me and they say, oh, David, you talk a lot, whatever. There was only one reason I did not want to be a senior counselor. I didn't want to talk in devotions.
Yeah.
And that may be crazy today, but this is 24 or 5 years later.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with this, Dawson. What are some of the leadership things that you've learned as we start to wrap this thing up? What are some leadership things that you've learned here at camp that you think have just helped you tremendously with where you are in life?
One of the main things is you just have to be confident in who you are. You have to be confident enough to correct other people, even if it's not like a wrong. If it's just not the right thing to do, you have to be confident enough to correct them, and not make it about you. You have to be able to correct them in a loving way, because if you correct them and you're just yelling at them the entire time, they're not gonna want to listen to you ever again, right? You're gonna burn that bridge. They're gonna lose all respect for you. So you have to be able to find that middle range of correction, also, but like love and respect still. And it's tough at first, obviously, because it's hard to do that. Especially when the world's so sensitive as it is today. It's just hard to find that middle ground, but it makes it so much easier when you have their respect enough to correct somebody and make them still be able to want to listen to you and respect you in that way.
I liked what you said. I think the key was the first time you step up.
Yeah.
That's the most difficult.
It is.
It's easier after that.
Yeah.
Because it's those unrealistic things in your head that you're having to climb over.
Yeah.
And once you do, you go, that was nothing.
It's really not that scary. It's definitely just a mental thing for sure. Mental thing for sure. It's like when you learn to swim for the first time. That's why you just get thrown in there. It's not that bad, right?
I see those moms on Instagram. They chunk their
throw
kid
in
in the water like, whoa, that's got to be abuse.
They magically swim.
It's true.
I mean, it's not that hard.
Sink or swim.
Yeah.
Sink or swim.
You got to figure it out. So.
I like it. All right, last question for you, Dawson, here today. And we're going to have thousands of boys that listen to this, right? It's going to break all the records.
Yeah.
No, the last question for you today is, what has Brook Hill meant to you in your life? What has this place meant to you?
It's meant so much to me. It's changed my life. I got saved here on the hill in 3rd grade.
Wow.
Crazy. And then just being poured into all those years as camp. Like, this is my 14th year, and even now I'm still getting poured into by people like you and Jason, even like Jackson and Tucker still. Just being poured into all those years and pouring into other people. It's just so cool and so beneficial to just see those things happen. It's truly life changing to see God work in the ways He does in the ways He does here. Because it could be a hard week, whatever way, and God can still do crazy things. Obviously, it could be raining all week, but God could still save 30 people every week. And just seeing Him move in ways that big, it's just crazy. And it's just kind of hard to not see those things. So it's hard to not want to follow the Lord when you see Him overcome all these things that all these kids are going through, that I've gone through. It just means a lot to me for sure. Changed my life forever.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Dawson, I appreciate you being on here, talking about leadership, talking to guys, and especially challenging those chill guys, challenging them to step up. Don't make excuses for where you're at, man. I love, Dawson, you're just one of the greats, man. You're one of the guys, you're one of the most dependable guys on staff. You're just a faithful guy, and I just think you're so solid. And I love these guys see that. Your campers, the Hackneys know that. You guys, they know that. And so I love you getting on here and talking because I think it can help free some of those guys that are giving excuses of why they're not stepping up.
Definitely.
Here you are head of hill. Here you are leading all these other guys. You're not just leading the bunkhouse. You're starting to lead other guys in other bunkhouses.
Yeah.
And so, I appreciate you being on here. I love I love watching your leadership, man. I love it. And so, Dawson Ramsey, life, legacy, and leadership. The Brook Hill Podcast. Appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Is that fun? Is that good?
Was that good?
I love it. It's great.
Good.